So you Democrats that are literally having premature orgasms, fantasizing about Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit, shackled and chained, and not being allowed anywhere near the Oval Office because the prosecutors are going to get him. Do you really believe that's because of the fact that the facts and justice warrant that? Or you are just counting on a corrupt system to get rid of the guy you don't like? Do you really believe that Donald Trump is getting a fair hearing in all of these indictments? After all, Joe Biden was just allowed to skate. What am I talking about? Stick around.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That gives you notifications of my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Hey, and then please like and share this video. That's how we get the word out that we're here. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. So, Donald Trump is under indictment, as we know, on several fronts, but the one that the Democrats seem to be holding out the most hope for is the documents. He had top secret documents. He was waving them around. He was showing them to people he shouldn't have been showing them to. They were unsecured. It was a threat to our national security, yada, 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 etc., etc., etc. All right, let me walk you through this. Let me explain it again. The president, and the president alone, has literally absolute, almost complete, limitless power and judgment when it comes to the handling of classified documents. He can classify or declassify anything he so chooses. In other words, if he's got a favorite pizza delivery place and he keeps the menu in the right-hand desk drawer and he wants to make sure that no staffer messes with that menu, touches that menu, or walks out of the Oval Office with that menu, he can literally classify that menu for Papa Gino's Pizza down the street, and it's a classified document. And if he wants to take a sheet of paper that has some of the nuclear codes on it and he wants to say, I declassify this, it is then declassified. It really isn't any more complicated than that. The Constitution, the executive powers give him that type of discretion and authority. And there is no other entity, whether it be Congress, the Supreme Court, or any of these entities that have been dreamed up and added to our bureaucracy over the year, including, archival committees, etc., they don't have the authority or the jurisdiction to tell the president what he can or cannot classify or declassify. He has unlimited authority in that area, period, and it is reserved for he and he alone. That's it. But yet they're going after Donald Trump over this, kicking in the doors of Mar-a-Lago, doing a full raid, claiming that they found the documents strewn on the floor. You mean the ones they strew on the floor and then took pictures of? Documents that were in a locked room with Secret Service guard over them. Then, of course, we started to have the revelations of the Joe Biden document problem. Literally hundreds and hundreds and thousands of documents that he took, not as a president, not even as vice president, but as a senator from Delaware. They don't have the authority to remove documents, especially classified or top secret documents, but Joe Biden did. And where were they? Well, some of them were in an empty office facility at a college administration building in Pennsylvania. Nobody really knows the chain of command, how they got there, who supervised them, who was securing them. They were simply in an empty office, in a filing cabinet. Some of them had been left in a facility near Chinatown. Some were seen in pictures off of Hunter's laptop in his garage in Delaware in boxes right next to where he parked his Corvette. But yet, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, upon reading the Hur report, Robert Hur, special counsel to look into the Biden document case, has decided, quote, Biden will receive a strong reprimand for careless handling, but there will be no charges, no indictment, no criminality. And of course, the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media, from the New York Times to CNN, they are literally salivating over this, and they love to point out that Robert Hur is a Trump appointee. May I remind you that Donald Trump, during his first term in office, didn't really know who he could trust or not trust, who to take advice from, and when there were certain appointments that had to be made, he just simply relied on some of these key advisors that he was stuck with, swampers. Oh, Mr. President, you need to appoint so-and-so to this. And he just, kind of in that businessman acumen that he comes from, just, well, if you know this person and you vouch for him, okay. Didn't even realize that he was turning snakes loose within his own administration. Robert Hur was an aide to FBI Director, ready for it, ready for it, ready for it, Christopher Wray. Bump it up, bump. Christopher Wray, who was part of the soft coup to overthrow the Trump presidency, from everything from Russia, to the whole January 6th. Hey, there were no informants among the protesters. There were no, if you will, insurgents among the protesters there to do one thing and one thing only: stir the crowd up and get them to go in. No. And Robert Hur comes from that. And of course, what the headline will be is Trump appointed counsel finds no guilt in Joe Biden. On the other hand, we have Jack Smith, who has been appointed by Merrick Garland to look into the Trump classifieds case, and he is filing over 40 criminal charges against Donald Trump. Now, Jack Smith has an interesting past. He went after, he's been called this, voracious prosecutor of the politically corrupt. But yet he went after the Republican governor of Virginia, Robert McConnell, got a conviction, and immediately the Supreme Court had to step in, and they unanimously overturned the conviction. That means that the right-leaning judges and the left-leaning judges agreed on something unanimously across the board, and so Jack Smith's case and indictment and conviction against a Republican governor thrown out. He went after John Edwards. John Edwards, one-time Democratic hopeful for the office of the presidency, went after him on criminal charges, resulted in a hung jury and a mistrial. He went after Bob Menendez. Now, see, of course, people want to say, well, Jack Smith, he went after Democrats too. He went after Bob Menendez of New Jersey. And that case ultimately was thrown out. So, Jack Smith, yeah, he loves to go after politicians, but he's also willing to do whatever he has to do to, quote, get the result that he wants, even if it means hiding evidence, fudging the facts a little bit. That's why the Supreme Court had to step in with Bob McConnell, or I should say Bob McDonnell of Virginia. So this is what Trump is up against. And to think it's not a two-tier justice system, that Trump is having to deal with all this while Hillary skated. And again, that was a Trump mistake. When he ran in 2016, lock her up, Lock her up. Then he became the president. He's like, you know what? We've got bigger fish to fry. We need to get on with life. Not even realizing that she was setting him up on Russia. And he just thought it was going to be like politics had always been, that, you say all kinds of things about your rivals while you're campaigning. And then once you're elected, everybody kind of lays their swords down. You're still fighting, but, okay, this is the result and this is what we're going to do. He had no idea that these people are this vile, this ruthless, and we're just going to keep coming after him. He knows that now. He knows that they have certainly weaponized the Department of Justice, the FBI, that the idea that these guys walk above the political fray, bunch of hogwash and bullhog. And he knows it now. But Joe Biden, having thousands of classified documents that he had no authority to take. He was a senator, not the president. And yet for him, there'll be no criminal charges. He'll just get a tongue lashing for being careless. Sounds a lot like, Hillary Rodham Clinton and the private email server, that she was careless, but that no prosecutor would ever actually bring charges against that. Sounds very James Comey-esque, doesn't it? But then again, wouldn't you expect that from Robert Hur, an aide to Christopher Wray, meaning that he was a lackey and a minion of James Comey? You understand how nasty, deep, vile the swamp is, and why they are absolutely terrified that Trump could be reelected, because this time he actually knows the game, he knows the players, and he knows who to bring in to protect his flank and to really drain the swamp. That's why they can't let him anywhere near the White House. But Joe Rogan summed it up pretty well.
No one is going to run against Trump in the Republican side and win, because you're not going to get the Trump supporters. They are all in on Trump. Unless he has a stroke, unless something happens that's horrible, they're all in on Trump. If you run against Trump, you're now the enemy of Trump. If I was friends with DeSantis, I'd be like, don't do it. You can't beat that guy. You just can't. When that guy gets out there and he's waving to people and they're going crazy, you're not beating that. And the fact that he was the president for 4 years and the country was in a great economic situation, and it looked like his policies were actually effective, and that it looked like the unemployment was down, all business was building, regulations were being relaxed, more things were getting done. When you look at it from a policy perspective, if you just look at it on paper, what he did was effective. A lot of people think it was effective. You don't like him as a personality, so you ignore that. Don't do that. Look at it in terms of a policy perspective. People liked the ideas that he was putting forward. And now you're saying like, oh, the wall is raised. Now everybody thinks there needs to be a wall. Even the mayor of New York City is now calling to stop immigration into his city. And this was the guy that called for it to be a sanctuary state. When the reality of what your policies, what kind of actions you put forth, what the results of that are, and those results are highly negative, you're forced to sort of recollect your thoughts and come up with a new perspective. And that's what the mayor of New York City is doing right now. When you just look at what Trump's policies were, and then obviously COVID hits, there's a lot to that, the lockdowns, the economic collapse, all the that came with that. None of that is good. And then Trump holds up this like hope to bring us back to where we were when he was in office. You're not going to beat that. I don't think they're going to beat that. I don't think when you look at the Russia collusion, when you look at the Steele dossier, when you look at all the bullshit they tried to throw at him that we now know is bullshit, not just bullshit, but coordinated bullshit. When you look at the fact that they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story and that 51 intelligence agency representatives signed off on that to say that this was Russian disinformation, which they know is not true. That's scary, because now you have the intelligence agencies colluding to keep a guy from being president that was president during a time where the country was thriving economically. You're not going to beat that guy.
Would he get your vote?
He'd get my vote before excuse me, he'd get my vote before Biden. I said that before. I don't think that I never thought that Biden was going to make it. I never thought that he was going to be functional. Like regardless of what kind of power the president actually has. And it appears under Trump, the president has a lot more power than we think they do. But under Biden, it's like he's handled. Like he's just out there talking and saying, the real problem is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what he's done is terrible. He did in the office. It's all nonsense. It's like everyone's treating him with kid gloves because they don't want to prop up Trump. They don't want to go after him because it'll weaken the Democratic Party.
Nikki Haley just said she is going to overcome the Trump popularity and overtake him in the polls. Nikki, if you did free pole dancing, you wouldn't overtake Donald Trump in the polls. Joe Rogan is 100% right. This guy is literally a rock star. He talked about what it was like the night at that UFC championship. He said when literally 20,000 people, he was there cheering for Donald Trump. And you know the backlash that Bill Burr and his wife are getting now. They throw this guy in prison. They deny him the White House. Look out. So this is why the deep state hates him, why the military-industrial complex hate him, and this is why they will stop at nothing to stop him. Just so you understand how the game is played. And, of course, Joe Biden, nothing to see here. Move along. This mental defective, perfectly fine. Our country is not in any danger. Really? Really? Because that's the case that they keep trying to make in the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media, that Donald Trump is a fascist, he'll take your rights away. Who takes our rights away? That he'll get us in war. Who's getting us? Who's flirting with World War III between China, Ukraine, Middle East? By the way, every time bombs explode, remember, Nikki Haley's bank account grows. So this is what we're facing. This is what we're up against. We just should have expected it and understand this. Keep pushing, keep fighting, make your voices heard loud and clear.